In the next tense episode of The Young and the Restless, the story of Nate Hastings and his suspicions about Amy and Damien is gradually becoming more complicated and dramatic. This tension not only pushes the relationship between Nate and those around him to a dead end, but also creates a dangerous conspiracy that can affect the company he is leading. The beginning of suspicion. It all started when Amy, the person Nate still trusted and cared for, suddenly started acting strangely. At first, Amy did not seem to be faking an illness, but over time, Nate began to feel that something was wrong. Even though he is a man with a stable career and sharp instincts, Nate still cannot deny the feeling of anxiety when things start to happen so strangely. Amy is always there at the right time, the situations she participates in always seem to coincide too much. Nate cannot help but feel that these signs are unusual. As a person who always values reason and precision, Nate begins to be unable to ignore the details he accidentally discovers. The doctors in the hospital where Amy is being treated no longer look at him with the same respect as before. They always seem to avoid Nate's eyes whenever he asks for information about Amy's condition. Feeling this abnormality, Nate decides to investigate quietly, without letting anyone know what he is doing. He begins to learn about Amy's medical records, determined to find the truth. Nate's secret investigation. From the very beginning, Nate feels that there is something fishy in Amy's medical records. The details in them do not match what Amy said about her condition. The strange sign is that the medication and test orders seem to be arranged in an unreasonable way. Some unnecessary tests have been performed, and more importantly, there are test results that are systematically changed or falsified. Nate was suspicious and determined to continue his investigation. He approached a few colleagues at the hospital whom he trusted. Although they were all good doctors, some of them began to feel uncomfortable when he asked for details about Amy. By this time, Nate was certain that something fishy was behind everything. One morning, while casually reviewing some of the records, Nate discovered something undeniable. Amy's medical records had been tampered with, showing clear signs of tampering. From there, Nate decided to dig deeper into the investigation. He began to follow the signs Amy left behind, and before long, he discovered the horrifying truth. Amy was not only the victim of a disease that did not exist, but also part of a larger conspiracy, one that Damien was orchestrating. They teamed up to create a drama, to deceive Nate and take his assets, maybe even his company. Damien and Amy, a scheming couple. When Nate discovered the truth about Damien, he was stunned. Damien, who always appeared to be charming and talented, had secretly cooperated with Amy in a scam that Nate never thought would happen. These two had planned it for a long time, and they did not stop at faking Amy's illness. Their bigger goal was to gain Nate's trust to launch an attack on the company that Nate was leading. Both Amy and Damien had calculated very carefully. This was not only for personal gain but also to make Nate lose everything. This made Nate bewildered. He began to wonder how long Amy and Damien's scheme could last. This revelation, when discovered, not only shocks Nate, but also forces him to confront the fact that the people closest to him may have been lying to him all along. This further strains Nate's relationships with those around him. The situation escalates. Nate is no longer just a corporate leader, but a man fighting to protect his honor and his company from the attacks of those he trusts the most. The lies and machinations of Amy and Damien become increasingly clear. Nate is faced with a choice: will he continue to confront these two con artists, or will he accept defeat and find a way out of this vicious circle safely? The details of Nate's investigation are slowly emerging, and he cannot back down. He decides to confront Amy and Damien, knowing that this fight could destroy everything he has built. But the important thing is that Nate will not let them get the better of him. He is ready to fight, and everything will be revealed in the following episodes. The details of Nate's investigation are slowly coming to light, and he can't back down. He decides to confront Amy and Damien, knowing that this fight could destroy everything he's built. But the important thing is that Nate won't let them get the better of him. He's ready to fight, and everything will be revealed in the next episodes. Unanswered questions. In the end, Nate realizes that, no matter how hard he tries, this confrontation won't be easy. Damien and Amy have prepared very carefully, and they know how to manipulate every situation to take advantage of Nate. But can they maintain this drama forever? Will the truth be revealed, and will Nate stand firm until the end, or will he pay the price for his lack of vigilance? These questions will only be answered in the next episodes of The Young and the Restless. The story of Nate, Amy, and Damien is a symphony of betrayal, deception, and intrigue. The tension comes not only from what happens on the surface, but also from Nate's internal battle as he confronts the truth about the people he trusts. On The Young and the Restless, Billy Abbott is a character who never ceases to surprise. From decisive decisions to internal struggles, Billy is always looking to prove that he can do what others can't, despite all the difficulties and obstacles. In the current situation, Billy is facing a battle that even he cannot foresee the consequences of. He decides to cross the line to express his point of view, especially in his relationship with Victor Newman, whom he has always considered an unyielding opponent. Billy and the Risk with Aristotle. Billy Abbott, a man who has always been caught up in battles bigger than himself, now decides to take a risk with a step that not everyone understands. He connects with someone he has never met in real life, who he hopes will be an ally in his upcoming plans, Aristotle. This was a crazy decision, but it fit Billy's personality perfectly, who believed that success only came from taking risks and facing unimaginable challenges. Aristotle was a big influence in the business world, and Billy believed that he could connect with him and convince him to join the plans he was building. However, the relationship between Billy and Aristotle was not an easy one. Billy knew that to achieve his goals, he would have to face great challenges, including having to find a way to connect with someone he only knew through indirect connections. Aristotle, whom Billy had never met, might not be easily convinced. This created a potential danger for Billy, because he was entering a game whose conditions and rules were never clear. Sally and her efforts to stop Billy. While Billy prepares for this fight, Sally Spectra, the woman with whom he is in a complicated relationship, cannot sit idly by and let him get himself into danger. Sally, with all her knowledge of the corporate world and power relationships, quickly realizes the risk Billy is taking. She warns Billy that this is a wrong move, that he is putting himself in a difficult position by going up against Victor Newman, a man she knows well cannot be defeated easily. Sally, while loving Billy and understanding the ideals he pursues, cannot help but see the reality. Victor is a man of great influence, and opposing him will not simply be a strategic struggle, but also a war with unpredictable consequences. Despite Sally's best efforts to stop Billy, she knows that when he is determined, nothing can change it. Billy is stubborn and does not give up easily on a plan. Sally can only stand aside, worrying about him, while he continues to pursue his seemingly crazy goals. Billy versus Victor Newman, an unequal fight. The battle between Billy and Victor is not simply a confrontation between two individuals. It is a struggle for power, reputation, and influence in the business world. Billy, although intelligent and talented, lacks the patience and sophistication to deal with people like Victor. He has faced enemies in the past, but Victor is a completely different person. He not only has influence in the industry but also possesses a strong network of relationships, enough to make anyone wary. Victor is not someone to be defeated easily, and Billy will face a very big challenge when trying to fight against him. Billy's relationship with Victor has been strained for a long time, but now that Billy has decided to go against Victor's wishes, the fight will get much worse. Victor, with his business instincts, will not let Billy win easily. This is a fight that Billy will definitely have to pay for. Phyllis and Sally, the fight for Billy. Besides the fight with Victor, Billy also has to face another fight, no less intense, which is the conflict between the two important women in his life, Phyllis and Sally. Both are fighting for Billy, and each has their own reasons for wanting to keep him around. Phyllis, a mother of 2 children and someone who always fights for what she believes in, cannot help but feel jealous and resentful of Sally. Meanwhile, Sally, who is struggling to maintain her relationship with Billy, can't help but feel uneasy seeing Phyllis meddling in his life. This conflict is not only an emotional struggle, but also a struggle for power and control. Phyllis wants Billy back, while Sally refuses to accept Phyllis's presence in their relationship. Billy, unable to stand to see the 2 important women in his life fight each other, feels pressured and has a headache. He knows that he has to deal with this problem rationally, he cannot let his personal life become a war. Billy faces the consequences of his decisions no matter how hard Billy tries to change things. He cannot stop facing the consequences of the decisions he has made. The struggle with Victor, the strained relationship with Phyllis and Sally, all of which are pushing Billy into a situation he cannot control. He must learn to face the consequences of his actions, and find a way to resolve things without hurting the people he loves. As Billy continues this fight, the question remains whether he can find a solution, or whether his persistence and stubbornness will pay the price. Whether Billy wins his fight with Victor, or resolves the relationship between Phyllis and Sally, he will still have to face the inevitable consequences. Billy's choices will affect not only him, but everyone around him, and this fight will last longer than Billy thinks. In The Young and the Restless, complex relationships and hidden motives create tense and dangerous battles. Holden, a character with a shrewd and scheming nature, always keeps himself on guard against Audra. He does not fall for her tricks, but instead, Holden has a clear goal: to use Audra to find important information. Holden's caution is a strong point, but it is also Audra's manipulation and the loopholes in her plans that make the situation extremely tense, especially when her calculations seem to be able to change the course of everything. Holden and his wariness of Audra. Holden is a cautious person in every decision, especially when facing characters with unclear motives like Audra. Although Audra seems to be an ambitious person, Holden is not easily fooled by her appearance. He knew that Audra's every move was carefully calculated, and she would never stop looking for ways to take advantage of the opportunities she created. Holden realized that if he wanted to achieve his goals, he would have to gather information about Audra and find out what she was hiding. With his wisdom, Holden quickly realized that Audra was not only ambitious, but also willing to do anything to achieve her goals. Holden did not blindly trust her, but instead, he saw opportunity in Audra's actions. He was not hunting her, but simply wanted to exploit the flaws in Audra's plan to serve his own purposes. Every time Audra made a move, Holden observed carefully, not missing any signs. He knows that if he's not careful, Audra can become a serious threat, but if he's used correctly, she can also be a useful tool to help him achieve his goals. Kyle and Claire. A relationship on the brink. Kyle, on the other hand, is a character who is easily caught up in the complex relationships and intrigues surrounding him. With his inexperience and sometimes naivety, Kyle can be an ideal target for someone as ambitious as Audra. While Kyle may not be able to see through Audra's schemes right away, it quickly becomes clear that he's being used. Audra, with her charm and sharp strategy, can easily lure Kyle into her game without him realizing the consequences. Kyle and Claire, or Claire, are in a dangerous situation. Their marriage is facing countless challenges, from personal disagreements to power and influence battles in the business world. Audra's appearance and the tension she creates make Kyle and Claire's relationship more fragile than ever. If Kyle isn't careful, he could make a big mistake and push Claire into a dead end. Claire, who has already had a hard time maintaining stability in their marriage, now faces even bigger cracks when Audra's appearance not only disrupts their relationship but also puts their future in jeopardy. Audra is not only a charming woman, but she is also very smart and shrewd in creating incidents that can weaken Kyle and Claire's relationship. And this, of course, is not easy for them, especially when one of them is unaware of the danger Audra can cause. Audra and her ambition beyond limits. Audra always has a clear goal: to dominate and gain power, no matter the cost. She does not hesitate to break the boundaries to achieve her ambitions. But this ambition can lead her into dangerous situations. When she sets herself too much ambition and does not know when to stop, Audra may encounter big troubles that she cannot foresee. Audra believes that she can control every situation and the people around her, but it is her unforeseen plans that will cause her to stumble upon great challenges. The truth is, despite her talent and charm, she cannot hide her crazy ambition forever. When she puts too much ambition on her shoulders, inevitable mistakes will make her pay the price. And this becomes even more obvious when she gets involved with Holden, who is not easily fooled and will definitely not let her take advantage of him. Holden and Claire, a calculating relationship. Although Holden doesn't hunt Claire or Kyle, He certainly likes Claire and doesn't hesitate to be a strong shoulder for his new friend to lean on after she breaks up. Holden doesn't see this as a romantic relationship, but he also knows that he can exploit Claire's weaknesses to serve his own purposes. When she goes through difficulties in her personal life, Holden is willing to play the role of a companion, but who knows what Holden is planning for the future behind this help. Although Holden doesn't reveal his evil intentions, his actions towards Claire may not be just a simple comfort. He may be planning long-term plans that Claire won't realize until it's too late. For Holden, this could be an opportunity to gain important information and influence in relationships that he wouldn't have otherwise. Uncertain future. With each decision these characters make, tensions rise and hidden agendas begin to emerge. Holden, Audra, Kyle, Claire, they all have their own ambitions and hidden agendas. The battle between these relationships will be more than an emotional struggle, but also a battle for power and control. Can Holden exploit Audra and Claire's weaknesses? Will Kyle realize that he's being deceived, or will he continue to fall into the trap of the ambitious? And can Audra continue to maintain control when her ambitions exceed her limits? All of these questions will be answered in the following episodes, as the relationships between the characters become increasingly complicated and their true motives are gradually revealed.